What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 27 of Procedurally Generated, the podcast about the random history of video games. Today is October 3rd, 2021. It's October, which is insane to me. I swear to God it was May yesterday.
This year's taking way too long. Moving at a snail's pace.
That voice you hear there is John.
Hi.
Say hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
We've also got Courtney.
Hi,
who's
Courtney.
Not gonna say hi. Okay, there we go. And I am Chris. I just saw the tweet is live. We are recording. If you guys are listening to this live, which you can't, check your Twitter right now. Another week,
Yeah.
and in fact, it's not been a very long week because we just recorded a couple of days ago.
We sure did.
It was a couple days ago.
Yeah,
Chris, I just want to point out you are peaking like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's because my gain is really high.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
That too much?
Good. That's good. I mean, you're quieter now, but I can fix it in post.
Perfect.
Maybe.
Perfect. I'll turn it up just a titch. Make sure you can hear me fine.
There you go.
Cool. Yeah. Sorry. I've So I'll go into what I've been doing. I think I might have mentioned this last week, but I've been doing getting some opportunities to work on some voiceover stuff. So this mic that I'm speaking into has been unplugged and replugged in different places multiple times throughout the day. So I mess with gain, I mess with all that stuff, and if I ever go live and it's a little loud, that's what happened. It's playing around with that stuff. So yeah. But yeah, we just recorded on Wednesday, shipped the show by Thursday. Today is Sunday.
Yeah, quick turnaround.
Yeah,
that was pretty awesome turnaround, I have to say. I had doubts.
It was impressive.
Thank you. And you probably won't hear this till Thursday, so
true.
Welcome.
Yeah,
welcome to like 5 days ago, everyone.
But this is the schedule we're gonna, I think, try to shoot for. Well, we'll remain flexible, but Sunday seems like a good recording day.
Yeah, there's like nothing going on.
All right. Sunday. Don't need to watch the Vikings anymore. They're terrible.
No, but Packers, you watch those all day.
I could.
No, you really can't.
Yeah. Did they? I don't know. We don't need to
I
talk
mean,
about
you can only watch them for like 3 hours or so, and then they win, and then you go on with your with the rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, I brought this on myself.
Are we voting anyone off the podcast today?
Surprise twist.
Wow.
We are.
Good luck figuring editing out. See ya.
That's fair. I guess I'm out.
I guess you can stay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, in this short turnaround, I've had a chance to play games. Quite a few games. Have you guys had an opportunity to dive into anything?
Yeah, I have a couple things actually.
Yeah,
one of which I've put a lot of time into.
Interesting.
I guess I could start.
Sure.
If you want.
I'm curious.
What you doing?
Yeah. So this week was the release of a new MMO. Chris, you're kind of familiar with this game.
Mm-hmm.
That is Amazon Games's New World, which is.
Courtney is literally bouncing in her chair for some reason.
It's kind of a throwback MMO. You are more so concerned with territory control and crafting and scavenging for materials and taking care of PvP stuff and kind of making the world your own, as opposed to having like big story events happen, like actual like narrative events happen, like you would in like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14, which Courtney would not know anything about since she skips all of the story content.
Stories? There's stories in those games? What?
It still kills me.
Yeah, I've been having a really good time with New World. I played a really early alpha of it. I don't know if I can really talk about that, but I'm going to. because why not? A lot of the game from then was the crafting, exploring the world, making relationships with other people who are playing the game, and building your companies, which are like your guilds, and kind of taking over territories. Now, a lot of that was more grounded towards like real world stuff, because I think it was originally supposed to be like the Spanish colonizing the Americas, or like that was supposed to be the initial focus of the MMO, or like something similar to that, like them coming to the new world and exploring and colonizing it. They still had like some supernatural elements at that point, but now it's completely blown out into its own. You're on a big haunted island. You're taking over territory with people. There's just a lot more. It's just a lot more fleshed out and interesting. Chris, when you played it a few months ago during the beta, they were showing off like the new combat system, having different weapons, had like different skill trees, and all of that. You played around, I believe, with the fire staff. I remember you messing around with for a bit.
Yeah, I didn't have any. I'm trying to think back to that as well. I remember being like, I think this is an MMO that I could get into, but I wasn't approaching it with any sort of strategy. More or less, this just kind of like, let's see how this thing works. Let's see what we can do. I think you're right. I think I had some fire staff that I'd found that was super strong. I was like, this will work fine.
Yep.
So yeah, no, I remember. I remember having a pretty good time with it. I was surprised in some of the environments. With just how good they looked, specifically the first city that you spent some time in. Now I don't know what part of the.
I think that's what all cities look like, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, well, I thought the city looked great.
Yeah, I mean the city looks great, but then you travel to another city, you're like, oh, it's the same.
It's still kind of the same city.
Yeah, but like people are in different places. Like your faction leaders might be in different places, but the overall layout is exactly the same as far as I could tell.
Are there like aesthetic differences? I mean, it's not like
some might be a little bit spookier. It depends on which region it's in. I've only been to one other city, but it was like the same.
They're not as different as like say Final Fantasy 14 starting areas like Limsa.
Right. Those are completely bespoke. With this, it's more the settlement is more a function than it is a place of being.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Or,
yeah, no, that
like you have player housing there, you have all of your crafting stuff there. It's back in like the original version that I played, it was just like this tiny camp that just had all the crafting things around it, and they've really just blown that out into a what looks like a functional town, but it's all just there for show, for having those components there.
Gotcha.
Courtney, are you playing any of this?
I am.
Good, excellent. How's everything going on your
it's
server?
Awesome. I was gonna say since Wednesday, since we last talked, okay. I've done 3 things in my life. I have worked, I have slept a little bit, and I have played New World. That's kind of it.
Yeah. One thing about New World, like when I was playing it in betas and stuff, like I was kind of lukewarm on it, and I was never really into like the crafting and gathering cycle for a lot of games. I never played Valheim, which I know a lot of people were into earlier this year. I'm hearing a lot of comparisons to that, but also like kind of blown out into an MMO version of that. But like crafting and like gathering wood and stone and iron and all that stuff, like that cycle has never really entertained me for that long. But for some reason with this, like there's like everything you do makes you better at that thing. So you can go and chop down trees. You're getting skill points for chopping down trees. If you're mining stuff, you're getting experience for mining stuff. If you're using a specific weapon, you're getting experience for that weapon. So everything that you're doing constantly has that dopamine drip, I guess, in a way of like, oh, I'm getting better at this. I can get that next thing. And I'm going to keep getting better at this, or I can go and work on this other thing to get better at that, to then combine those things to maybe craft something better, like for weapon or clothing or whatever. And for some reason, like I saw that loop in the betas, but it didn't really hook me then. I think the difference now is there's permanence. Like, there are reasons for me to be doing this, just because my character is going to stay there for the future. It's not going to be erased. I am involved in my faction conflicts and like PvP stuff, and my company owns our town. So like we went to war this weekend, and everyone was like offering like to make bullets for people, or like seeing if we could gather different resources for people. There's like actually having this live and having things matter, I think is helping a lot with me caring about the game and what I'm doing in a way that the betas and alphas just didn't do for me. And I think that little difference is really what makes it a lot more enjoyable for me. Also,
Which
like knowing
faction
people
did
that
you
I'm playing
pick?
with, and we are syndicates. Yeah.
Did you with the beta disconnect, like knowing that you're going to be losing that and stuff?
Yeah.
Do you notice that? Did you notice that especially with New World, or do you notice that with most demos that you try out? Is there that disconnect that makes you like, okay, I get what I want now, I'm just going to be done?
Yeah,
that's it's going to come back up.
That is most demos for me, but I didn't expect New World to then, once I got into it, to flip that switch and actually have me actually care about it.
Okay.
Because I was so like, yeah, I get what's going on. It's crafting. It's shooting things. It's stabbing stuff. It's fighting people. It's claiming territory. I don't see myself getting into that. And I have gotten into that, and I've put like 20 hours in this weekend, or since, when did I get in for the first time? Friday night. I tried for 3 nights. Our server is just hopping. So at peak times, it's like 1,200 person queues. There's only 2,000 people who can go onto a server at a time. So like I have to wait for most of that server to log off before I can even get on. So a lot of my days, like Steam says I've played like 37 hours of it, but most of that's been waiting for a few hours while the queue pops. So
have those times gotten better? I know the first couple days were a nightmare.
God no.
It's still really bad.
Like I tried like an hour before we started recording. It's like, oh, there's still 900 people in queue. So
okay. I've heard they're going to be taking a harder stance against people that are AFK. Like that was
yes, they have been. They have been. So there's like a 15-minute AFK timer. I tried doing the whole thing where you run in place and it booted me. So the system works. Yeah.
Way to test it.
Yeah.
For the betterment of mankind, John.
Right.
John did that.
It's not my intention to test it, but
okay.
So
what else you been getting up to?
I've played a couple rounds of the Halo beta this weekend too.
I saw Courtney playing that. Was that an open beta?
No, so it was through the Xbox Insider stuff and like Halo Waypoint. They were making additional invites available for people through Xbox Insider, or for the people who are using Steam to like send invites to their friends. But they did want it to be bigger this time, and I guess they have been, if everyone that has been playing it.
Yeah, I logged into Twitch and I saw 3 people playing Halo Infinite. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
So what they were testing this weekend was big team battles. So the 12, I think it was 12 on 12 on larger maps, and the play mode that I tried out was Total Control, which is a new mode for the series, and it's a control point capture thing. where you start out, there's 3 control points. You have to capture all 3 to score 1 point. And then it takes like 10 seconds and everyone's still on the map, but it'll switch where those 3 control points are. And then you have to go and capture them again. So you have to score 3 points to win. And the 2 games that I played, they both went to the time limit of 15 minutes, which is actually pretty neat, I think. That they learned to put a time limit in that, because we were like stalemating pretty hard on both games. Like no one was going to win or lose. But yeah, it's just a really fun version of like the control point game, because you're capturing control points faster than normal. There's 3 of them that you have to worry about, so you have to kind of spread your forces thin, but also you have to like defend those or go and fight for those at the same time. And it there's a cool like there's nice little like mini fights that'll happen, or you put priorities in different places on the fly. It's something pretty different from what I've felt in a Halo match in a while. Also, I haven't like, I guess, been too deep into Halo in quite a few years, but it was more interesting to me than like the normal control point play mode, I guess, or multiplayer mode that I've played in the past for other games too. So
nice.
Yeah, Halo Infinite, still good.
You know what? I'm ready for it.
Same.
I wasn't impressed like much of the internet when they showed off that, you know, the last year, I think, ended up postponing it to this year.
Yep.
Or is it a holiday release, or is it next year?
Yeah, it's like December 8th.
Okay, it is this year. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually not far away. But also a year and change after when they originally wanted to release it. So okay. Well, no, that's cool. Let's you know, let's go Halo. A good Halo game is good for everybody.
Absolutely. Especially like multiplayer is going to be free to play on PC and on Xbox. So anybody who wants to play Halo can play Halo. Anyone who has Game Pass can play the campaign as well, or just buy the game outright. But yeah, there's going to be plenty of Halo going around in December. So
anything else that you've been up to, John?
No. Just quick question for Courtney. What weapon have you been using in that new world?
So I've been using a great big battle axe.
Hell yeah.
With a secondary of the fire thing.
Oh, sure. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been going...
I don't know. I think I've been playing a little bit differently from everybody else. Like there's some other people in my group that are playing too, and I'm out there just like frolicking along and hacking at trees and picking at mines and grabbing all the bushes I can. I'm content to just go out and gather things and do like, there's so many quests they give you. Yeah. Like you've got your town quests, you've got your faction quests. There's so much to do. There's a constant to-do list. And I'm just really content to check those things off. Yeah.
Yeah. There'll be points where I'm like, I want a PvP, or like we'll get word that one of the rival factions is stirring up the pot near us, so we need to like start flanking ourselves for PvP and start laying waste to everyone around our fort. Like you could play that game however you want. If you want to collect stuff, you can. If you want to craft stuff, you can. I think Dan Tack, who's been playing, said he put like 100 hours or something into it so far. Like a lot. Like he's just been going deep on it. But he's mostly just been crafting. He hasn't been following like the story quests or anything, or doing like town quests. And he's just been like leveling up just from gathering and crafting, and maybe killing some things occasionally. But
I'm like level 21 right now, but my story, like the main storyline quest, is sitting at about level 10.
Nice.
I didn't keep up with that one.
I don't remember where I am with that. I've been trying to like catch up, but I'm like level 20, I think, right now. So yeah.
So then, Courtney, besides working and sleeping in New World, that's all you've had time for, right? There's nothing else.
Yeah, that's it. Work has been a little bit time consuming since we last recorded. I'm lucky I've gotten to play any New World at all.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that goes away, huh? Let's get some more gaming time, less work time.
Exactly. I'm for it.
Nice. Well, like I said earlier, I've actually had an opportunity to dive into quite a few things. With the Tokyo Game Show going on / winding up / being done by now. There were a bunch of games that actually made their way to Game Pass.
Yeah.
And 2 of them specifically I've had my eyes on. Well, 3 of them.
Let me guess. Scarlet Nexus.
Yeah, actually that is one. I think there was a demo on the Switch. That I might have tried, and the demo
not for
didn't
Scarlet
sell
Nexus,
me on it.
but
maybe I'm thinking of a different game.
Yeah.
I thought there was a demo, because I think I've played it somehow.
There was a demo on PS5 and Xbox One.
Oh, maybe it wasn't on Switch then. Didn't that game come out on the Switch?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
well,
that was all
definitely wasn't Switch.
All next gen, I think.
Okay. Maybe. Oh, I bet it was a demo on. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyways, that was one of them, but I haven't played that one yet. Did you want to take another guess? It seemed. Did you want to try both?
Jeez, what was the other one? There's another big one that came to Game Pass.
Yeah, I did talk about it in the Discord, so we'll see if you were paying attention to the Discord or not.
God no. I'm kidding. I read the Discord all the time. No, I do.
What's the link?
No, I've forgotten what other games came out. New World has poisoned my brain.
Astria Ascending.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was a game that I don't have the specifics in front of me, but I believe it was a bunch of former Square employees, Final Fantasy folks.
Yeah. Is that like Nojima and stuff?
I think so. That sounds right. But I was like less impressed with what I saw in the trailers and more impressed with the lineage behind it. Should have gone with what I saw in the trailers. I think it's I might play it a little bit longer, but it did not grab me the first 30 to 45 minutes or so. A lot of the trailers showed very strangely proportionate woman walking right on the screen. And like It was shocking how much of the trailer was just fixated on walking through environments to the right. And I was just like, boy, that doesn't look like a lot of fun. But let's see what happens. And it's a lot of walking to the right, turns out.
They should have called it Astria Walking to the Right.
Yes. Yes. And put her on stairs so you could have still had the ascending theme.
Yeah. They failed.
Yeah. It's old school turn-based combat. One thing that I want to get a little bit further in just to see if it happens, but you start with a full party, which I'm never a fan of. I like building a party. I like, having my main character be the focus, and then having a story build around that character that introduces us to more people. When this game starts with 6 demigods and I'm thrown into the combats with everybody having their abilities and stuff, it's weirdly like overwhelming right off the jump, because I want to focus less on the combat in the beginning and more try to understand the story of the world. But then the combat itself, even though there's that much going on, it's still boring to me. There's nothing that's super unique about it, and getting into combat itself, it takes you to a separate combat screen, but you see the enemies on the screen, and you have to walk into them. They're there. You can't avoid them. You can swing at them to get like the advantage.
Yeah.
But there's nothing unique about getting into each engagement, and every engagement kind of plays out the same way. So not a strong opening to that. Not enough to grab me. I don't know. I maybe should play it a little bit more just to I don't think a half hour, 45 minutes is enough to really pass judgment on a game like that. But I can say confidently that right now it does not have the strong opening that I was hoping that it would have had. So
it's kind of what I've been hearing about it.
Yeah.
From I think Jay has been playing it at work, and yeah, he kind of came across with the same notion. It's like, it's not great. So
There might be
Yes.
something there, and if people
Sure.
that for people that really like menus, I will say the menus look pretty good. You can
Give you
spend a
some
lot of time in
spreadsheets.
menus. Yeah, there's like the equipment customization, the skills, and all that stuff. It's got some clean looking menus. Probably not great that's really the only positive I
That's
can
the high
give.
point for you. It's got good menus.
Hey, listen, there are people that really like menus out there.
It's true.
The other game that I tried is one that I didn't even know about until last week's show when John, you mentioned it.
Oh yeah,
Unsighted.
Oh,
Yeah. So I gave that a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. That's another one I want to get a little further into. It's an interesting opening. You were right to say it's kind of a little bit more detailed Hyperlight Drifter.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me. It's like a cross between Hyperlight Drifter and maybe like is it Cosmic Star Heroine?
That sounds right.
Yeah. That game, I love that game, by the way. If you guys like want a good Chrono Trigger like game, I thought Cosmic Star Heroine fit the bill as well as a, I think $15 game can. So, but I don't know if I'm sold on Unsighted. It's perfectly fine, but much like Astria Ascending, I think I want to spend a little bit more time with it. I would say that right now, Unsighted, I feel stronger about. Like there's more potential there. So,
with both of these games that you're gonna spend a little more time on, what do you think is gonna be like? Is there a time limit that you're looking at? Is there like some kind of light switch you're waiting to be flipped on to be like, oh yeah, I think I could get into this? Like what's going to be the trigger to either be like, I'm putting this back on the shelf and I'm never looking at it again versus, oh, I'll keep playing 5 minutes more. Okay. 5 minutes more.
Fair question. I think with Astria Ascending, it's really close to just being like, I think I might be done. But I don't feel like I've seen enough. I feel like there has to be something that happens after whatever's happening right now. And when that thing happens or doesn't happen, that's going to be the trigger. That's going to be.
So it's more of like a storyline thing that you're waiting to evolve?
I'm pretty good at taking a look at like what I'm doing and recognizing if I'm enjoying it or if I'm playing it for other reasons. Unsighted, there's enough mystery. There's enough in regards to the presentation that makes me feel like, okay, all right. Like, maybe the gameplay isn't hooking me from what I've seen so far, but there's been some stuff that I thought was pretty cool. Is that going to keep up, or is this like a kind of a really impressive ending to what ends up being a mediocre game? So it's just kind of by feel. It's just kind of like I'll notice when I'm like, okay, I think we're at that point. Time to move on. It's actually gotten easier for me to do that the last year or so with streaming, because I'm always talking about the game that I'm playing and I'm sharing thoughts. And there's been times where like chat said something and I've answered it and been like, actually, now that I just said it out loud, I'm not enjoying my time with this. It's forced me to think about like what I'm actually doing. So, Unsighted, I think. I probably another half hour to 45 minutes of gameplay. I'll have my mind made up as to whether or not it's worth continuing. Astria's Ascending is like, hanging on by a thread here. So,
are you playing those off stream?
Yeah. The original intention was to play them off stream to see if I wanted to feature them on stream. So Astria Ascending, I definitely do not want to feature on stream. And I think I don't know where I'm at with Unsighted yet. So, because obviously the goal is if I play them on stream, the vast majority of those games I want to experience with the chat, with community. So I have to make that decision soon. Otherwise I'm going to cross that point of no return. I also played some Hot Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That is a game. There's things I like about it and there's things I really, really, really don't like about it.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Within minutes having, what are they called? Blind boxes
thrown
at me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To designate my first vehicles and stuff like that.
Any vehicles.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all, and you had touched on that. That's right. Last week's show, how a lot of your player choices taken away right off the bat. I kind of like the little Hot Wheels road, like the map, the city that you're kind of going through and progressing through, and there's secrets and stuff, but I can't do the secrets because I don't have, like, the one that I found. I don't have the Bone Shaker car yet, which,
sure.
you know,
So it's like,
so
who
like
knows when you're gonna have that?
exactly, like I could never find that, or I just have to get lucky, and so that secret's just sitting there, and I can't do anything about it. Um, the races are really simplistic. There's not a lot to do besides boost and drift, and just try to get good at the technique there. There's some weird jankiness that happens every once in a while. I've been bumped to oblivion. Like, so there's a couple bugs that I've run into, but I mean, it's a game that I want Jack to play. I think he'd adore it. I think he'd love it.
I think that's a good play it with your kids sort of thing, because it does mix like racing and Hot Wheels, because Hot Wheels are always cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Jack loves Hot Wheels and cars and stuff. And
yeah, I don't think it's the best Hot Wheels game though. The best Hot Wheels game is Forza Horizon 3, the Hot Wheels DLC. That's if you want to play Hot Wheels, I think that's the place. That's the way to go. I also played some of the Blue Fire DLC. So Blue Fire is one of my favorite games of 2021. I absolutely love it, adored it. I don't care for the DLC.
Oh,
unfortunate.
Yeah, I was like super excited, and then maybe I could have found this earlier, but the DLC is all focused around these voids, and these voids are just super challenging platform puzzles, which are they were a lot of fun in the first game because it broke up the exploration in a really nice way. Like, you would get somewhere new and you would find it, be like, yeah, let's get real mad for a while and see if we can, solve these voids. But all this is really an area full of, like, I think there's 15 new voids, and they're ungodly hard. So I don't want. I was hoping for an expansion that maybe would offer up a new area to explore. And granted, there is an area. It's just a little small. And the main point of the area is to introduce you to these multiple voids that you can do. So I realized what that was, and I was like, do I really want to spend probably 10 to 15 hours? They say it's a 5-hour DLC. I spent 2 hours in one of those damn voids. I was like, there's no way I'm beating this in 5 hours. Do I really want to do this on stream and just be mad the whole time because I can't get past these things? So we decided to nix that for now. I'm still playing Persona 4 Golden. I started Earthbound. So we started that on stream. Nope. That one is fully on. We are
as a
all
keeper.
In. Yep, we'll be doing that one. But the one I wanted to talk about specifically, I played it actually this morning during the Tokyo Game Show. They showed off more of Stranger in Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin.
Yeah.
The first demo that they released, I don't know, 2 months back.
E3.
Okay,
June.
yeah, so
early June.
3 months, yeah. I did not enjoy it at all. I was not a fan of what they were doing. I don't know if I was being like whiny Final Fantasy boy. I was like, this is not my Final Fantasy. But I really like the Souls games.
Yeah. So I mean,
things
have kind of like settled, and we know kind of what that game is.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like you've had this level of acceptance of like, all right, that's what Stranger of Paradise is.
Right. I've heard people say that they enjoyed the second demo more.
Yeah. That's what
I couldn't for the life of me remember. I didn't make it super far in the demo because I was turned off by what I saw almost immediately. But I got past the part that I'd gotten before, and I kind of made the conscious effort to like just accept it as it is. Like, let's just view this as not a Final Fantasy game and see how it goes.
It's a Neo.
It is kind of, yeah. I mean, it's kind of Neo. The amount. I mean,
it's made by the Neo people, so
right. The loot that drops, it's insane. You're constantly picking up. I'm not a big fan of the same.
I wonder if that's because of the demo too.
Just introducing you to
to a bunch of stuff. Like that happened with me actually in New World in the last beta. Like I was getting crazy weapon drops all the time.
Yeah.
To probably get me to play around with the different weapons. And with the actual release, it's been spread out where I'm starting off with like pretty normal stuff like swords and bows, and then eventually I'll get like the frost gauntlet or the ice gauntlet, whatever it's called. Like all the magic-y stuff comes a little bit later. When initially I was getting that stuff like drop 1.
Okay.
So
I kind of hope I hope that's the case then, because I hope they tone down that, because man, like I must have in my first run through like the first area, I must have picked up 40 pieces of equipment. Jeez. I think, and it was there was so much, and I'm not a big fan of picking up the same material or the same kind of items with just different levels. And different colors for rarity and stuff like that. Like I will accept it, but if you inundate me with it, you give me so much, then all I'm doing is I'm going to a menu, I'm hitting optimize, and I'm moving on with my life. You know, I immediately start to lose any connection I might have with these items, which they're cool looking items. They change your character model. That, you know, it's fun to put that stuff on. It's fun to play dress up, you know. But it's like that much stuff is like overwhelming. But I got to play around as the mage for a little bit, and I thought the magic felt kind of good. It's on like a weird timing system to dictate how strong your spells are. But the thing that kind of made me like, okay, I'm going to stop playing the demo, because now we're getting into some stuff that I think I want to experience like firsthand. I went to this, there's a second area they introduced in the second demo. I can't remember what it's called. It's like the Riven wetlands or something. But I'm like listening and I'm like, God, this song sounds so familiar. And they essentially remade the music from the Sunleth Waterscape in Final Fantasy 13.
Oh.
So it's like
weird.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's kind of strange. That's weird. And then I'm walking around this area, and I guess spoilers for the demo if you want to experience this yourself. But they also have I don't know if it's in the Sunleth Waterscape before or after, also in 13, but there's a mechanism that lets you dictate the weather. It's like an orb, and it turns it sunny or rainy, and that same mechanism is in this part of the game.
Oh, weird.
Aesthetically, it's very similar to the Sunleth Waterscape, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, hold on a second. Like, I thought this was a Final Fantasy like 1 reimagining, and I'm seeing this Final Fantasy 13 stuff, which I am a diehard Final Fantasy 13 apologist. I love that game. So like that started happening. I'm like, hold on a second. Like, we're getting into some stuff here. I had to like consciously think about what this game was doing to me.
Chris is diving into message boards about conspiracies about Final Fantasy Origin. Did anybody else see this?
I think XGen summed it up perfectly when I sent my tweet out this morning about it. We were just saying I'd kind of taken a 180, and XGen summed it up perfectly. He's like, your mind is like in chaos.
Oh no,
that chaos got me memified so much from the first demo, where I was like, that's actually perfect, because I don't know what to think. I mean, I think I really dig it now. Like I can't wait for March.
Yeah.
Where if you would have asked me that during E3, I would have been like, stranger of what?
I don't care. Sure, we'll play it eventually, maybe.
Right. Yeah. So no, that's looking like maybe a day one on stream type of situation.
That's been a real wait and see for me. I didn't get a chance to play the first demo because it was during E3, and it was my second week on the job, so I was like super busy and overwhelmed. So I didn't get around to it.
Too.
Yeah.
I tried to go back to it because I wanted to give it a second shot, and then it was just not there.
Yeah, and like this one is only good until like October 10th or something. So
yeah,
so this one only has a certain amount of time.
Get a chance to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's everything that I've had a chance to play.
It's a lot.
It has. Yeah. It's been fun. It's been fun though.
Good. Anything else from TGS that's been piquing your interest?
No, I had the show on. I wasn't catching it live, but I was catching the re-release or the replay of it on YouTube every morning, like when I was working out or like on the treadmill or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, a lot of it was just rehashing stuff we'd already seen. A couple new game announcements here and there. But nothing that really landed on my radar. The Stranger in Paradise release date was probably the biggest news that appealed to me, and that was before I played the demo, where I still didn't care about the game.
Yeah.
So, but what you had something that might have caught your attention.
I was looking around for like news stuff, because obviously that's what you do when there's a big game show happening. And I was like, what? I was looking at like the list of exhibitors. Like, all right, so like we're naturally covering like Capcom, Xbox. We'll see what Konami's up to. Apparently, it's nothing. That they're announcing. Nothing that they're announcing. But I was looking, I'm like, oh, Level 5 has something. Let me check out their thing. And they're showing off this game that it was announced years ago, like 5 years ago. And I don't recall knowing about it, but I think it's going to be right now it's only a Japanese only game. And they're making like their own media property with it. So it's a combination of an anime and a video game. And it's called Megaton Musashi, and it's like a giant robot anime / game, where at least in the game portion, you get to like customize your giant robots, like put different arms and bodies and heads and legs on them, and like make your own custom robo. I think I'm like really into this because I want Nintendo to make a new custom robo, and have been for years. I think that's the main thing that's like really appealing to me. I like the whole make your own crazy robot thing and then fight stuff with it in like 3D arenas. And it's kind of looking to scratch that itch.
Okay.
But I think if this game ever does come stateside, it'll probably be whenever they localize the anime, which started this week, like 2 days ago. But I haven't seen anything for like dubs or subs or anything like that.
Okay.
For like localization of the anime itself. So who knows? Who knows if that's ever going to come here? But that was a game that kind of caught my eye.
So speaking of giant robots and games and stuff, I was just curious. I stopped watching the anime, but I know you enjoyed it. Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, Gurren Lagann.
Did they ever make a game? Like, is there a video game of that anywhere?
I don't think so.
No?
Not that.
Like that would, if that was out there, that maybe that might also be a good fix for you.
There's so much that happens in that show. I don't know how. It's kind of like that show escalates like the end of Bayonetta escalates.
Never played Bayonetta.
Oh, you never played Bayonetta? Okay, never mind.
But well, no, that's not true. I played Bayonetta enough to know that it probably escalates at the end.
Okay, yeah.
A lot
like
of
you're basically fighting like a god at the end of Bayonetta, in the way that near the end of Gurren Lagann, they are piloting robots the size of galaxies and throwing galaxies at each other like throwing stars.
Okay, yeah, that's
hey, yeah, it goes places.
It's a little bigger than the stakes that
real great.
When I left, the stakes weren't that high.
When the stakes get between things with DNA and things with not DNA, and gets to like a galactic proportion, it gets nuts. Anyways, Gurren Lagann spoilers, kind of. What was I looking up? I was going to look up something. Oh, Gurren Lagann game.
Yeah, Gurren Lagann game. And while you're looking that up, I'll take this time to say, hey, everybody, go ahead and leave us a positive review if you're enjoying the show. We would love that, whether it's on iTunes or Spotify or Podchaser. We have we're on there. Other places that you know of that maybe we don't know of, anywhere where you can say a good word about us, take the time to do it. We would greatly appreciate it. As far as we can tell, we're still a perfect podcast with nothing but 5-star reviews. We'd love to keep that trend going. I'm sure at someday I'm going to stop. I should probably stop saying that, because somebody's going to just be like, that'll learn you.
Please don't.
I'll show those guys.
I'll just stop checking. There you go. It'll be a perfect 5-star podcast forever. But Yes, please do that. That would be great. It's a good way to get us into more listeners' ears. And then also, we welcome you to be a part of the show yourselves. Reach out to us on Patreon, patreon.com/procedurally generated. If you enjoy the show a lot and you feel like supporting us, we would also greatly appreciate that. We got a lot of ideas for the show, things we want to do, but we can only do that when we hit our goals. So you can also tweet at us on the Twitter PG_show. Shoot us an email at pgshowinbox@gmail.com. Join our Discord. Be a part of our Discord. We'd love to have you discuss the show, discuss the stuff, make us feel like idiots for the choices we make in terms of ranking our games. Let us know about the huge details we missed when we explained what's going on with each game, or just fun facts. We would love to hear it. And then go ahead and check out our TikTok, PG_podcast. Then I was actually working on that before we got started, working on getting episode 7 Quick Talk up and running. So those are all ways that you can further support the show and see what we got going on. So, John, did you find your answer?
I did. There was a DS game, which doesn't look great. But the other Gurren Lagann games are actually from another franchise that will make its US debut for like its mainline series in a couple of weeks here, and that is Super Robot Wars, which is a tactical giant robot RPG that mashes up a bunch of giant robot franchises together into one game. So it's usually like a bunch of Gundams, and Cowboy Bebop isn't a giant robot thing, but it's been in there. Really anything that's had like spaceships or robots have made it in there. Robotech or Macross, I guess, would be its actual Japanese version. If there's a giant robot franchise, it's probably been in Super Robot Wars.
Is there when you say the US debut, is that for the games?
Yeah, so Super Robot Wars has made it to the US in its like they started releasing games on, I think it was the DS, that were all original characters, that were all non licensed characters, so they could bring it out wherever they wanted to safely. But getting licensing for up to 40 different anime or manga is a nightmare. And then doing that and bringing it to the US and Europe and Brazil and all those places is also an even bigger nightmare, because who owns all of those different franchises in those places for like regional licensing?
Right.
So I think it's Super Robot Wars 30. It's the 30th anniversary this year.
Okay.
They're releasing it on Steam here. Nice. And that'll be the first time that they have like the fully licensed game coming out here. Let me take a quick look.
Now, my only question is, has Xenogears been included in Super Robot Wars?
Probably.
Oh, okay. I might be in.
Let me take a look here.
Give me some Weltall, and I'm all in.
Xenogears Super Robot.
It's for whatever reason, I don't know why, but it is the only giant robot thing that not only has like resonated with me, but it's like a game that I adore.
Yeah.
From the PlayStation era.
No, I'm just seeing it for Project Cross Zone, which is that Sega and Konami.
Okay.
And was it Konami? Sega, Namco, and something.
I have lost all interest.
All right, Super Robot Wars 30 has Mobile Suit Gundam, Mobile Suit Z Gundam. There's like 8 different Gundams here. Getter Robo Armageddon, Messenger Z, Magic Knight Ray Earth, Gun X Sword.
That one sounds familiar.
Ray Earth, yes.
Yes.
It's an old series that's been around for, yeah.
Okay.
It's a manga and anime from a group called Clamp, who did like Card Captors and a bunch of other series that are all connected.
Gotcha.
In a way, yeah. Anyways, Super Robot Wars is cool because it has all that stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, should we dive into our first game?
Let's do it.
All right. I'll introduce. Should I introduce? Courtney, I'll run it
Sure.
by you. Would you like to introduce?
No.
No? All right,
No.
cool.
No.
No, not gonna do it. No. All right. Our first game, developed by Pegasus Japan Corp, published by ASCII Corporation. We've got the genre is an RPG maker like, I'm gonna say, because RPG maker means something in my head that might mean different things to other people. So, released in 1998, released on the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. We have got a game called Simulation RPG Tsukuru. So I say RPG maker like, but to be fair, I think it is a game that is essentially part of RPG Maker. RPG Maker
I think it's a completely different company though that makes this. Correct?
Well, I had such a hard time differentiating between not only so there's well, okay, I'll explain what the game is. That sounds like a good talking point. Let's come back to that. So it is an RPG maker, but it is designed to create a more simulation RPG, something similar to a Fire Emblem or a Shining Force, as opposed to a Final Fantasy or a Dragon Quest. So in Tsukuru, in Japanese, Tsukuru literally translates to make. So simulation RPG maker. It just gives you the tools to kind of build your own adventure. Now, the feedback that I read on this game is that it was actually probably one of the more difficult games to truly customize and to bring your own ideas to life with, just because of the way that you had to upload things. If you wanted to create your own assets, they had to be a certain way. If you didn't have the right, let's say, color palette, things would kind of glitch out and cause problems. There was not a really easy guide or thing in place to help the user work around those kind of issues. So it's kind of held the throne of, or yeah, held the crown of being kind of the more inaccessible of the RPG making games. So, John, you make a good point. Everything that I read, this game seemed to get balled up and bunched in with the RPG Maker games.
Yeah, I think it was just a popular trend at the time when this was made and when that was made. Like, hey, let's make tools for people to make their own games. And I think while the RPG Maker team went the direction that you mentioned, like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, these developers went with not exactly. I've seen at least in my research people comparing it to like Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff, but like yeah it is more Fire Emblem,
right? It's not like
anything.
It's not like Tactics or Ogre Battle where you're altering terrain and levels of terrain and that kind of stuff. It's a straight up Shining Force, like grid based setup.
Yeah,
more simplistic than that.
So really, there's not much game here to talk about. A lot of it is just like the tools. Like you have grids that you can create maps on for your armies to fight. You create scenarios for players to go through. And that includes like 16-bit cutscenes, different like wind conditions. Yeah, it's really what you do with the tools more so than what is actually provided for you in this.
Yeah, I even saw I watched a YouTube video on it just to try to get an idea of what the quote unquote gameplay would be as it relates to building the game or developing it. But one of the messages that I saw, and I couldn't confirm it, and I don't know if you saw this too or can confirm it, you're not actually allowed to toy with the script that's in the game. You can't actually customize the words on screen or anything. So I don't know how that works in a game that you're designed to make.
Yeah.
So again,
I mean,
I think it goes back to just the idea that maybe this is not the most accessible type of game, despite its best intentions.
Yeah. And this will be a trend today that there's not a lot of footage to like look at. I don't even think I saw any games that were like created from this. Even though like from what I was seeing, like once you do actually make a game, like you don't need to. There's some like extra software that other RPG Maker games need you to have that like this doesn't need. You just need this software installed, which I believe was released originally on Sega Saturn, correct? And then ported to PlayStation, and then ported to Windows after. That's from what I was seeing.
That's another problem that I had with researching this one. They have Simulation RPG Maker,
mm-hmm.
and then I believe there's Simulation RPG Maker 95, but
which was the translated name, or it's like the localized name for whoever translated it for English.
Is that what? Okay, because then I also saw it called the Simulation RPG Maker 98, but that was created initially for the PC 98 engine.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't figure out, like, they said the date, like the first one came out, and then in the same article they said the date the second one came out, and the date that had the second one had the date that was actually before the first one, and I don't know when this game came out is what I'm trying to tell you. I have no idea.
So yeah, this game came out initially in, I believe, 95.
Okay, so I only saw 98, and then I saw a
yeah.
PlayStation re-release in 2001.
Let me double check here, though. Yeah, like the date that's on Moby is 98, and I believe that's the PlayStation date.
Well, the PlayStation, so there's a re-release for PlayStation in 2001, because the game that we drew.
Oh, sorry. Yes, excuse me. Yes, then the Sega Saturn one was 98, because that was the original release. So sorry for confusing any listeners.
The good news is I walked into this confused, and I'm walking out confused still. So.
The only gameplay I saw for this, the game was in Japanese, and this guy was trying to like guess at what all these things were that he was selecting from. No.
Oh yeah, been there with emulators in the past. I think the first time I ever tried to play Bahamut Lagoon without an English patch was like, I don't know if I'm putting my name in or if I said yes to something. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, not the ideal way to enjoy a video game that has not been translated to English.
Have either of you played or like messed around with RPG makers in the past?
Very little, a long time ago. My wife's brother back in the day was apparently, I remember them talking about how he used to dabble with it quite a bit, and he still toys around and makes games and stuff like that every once in a while. So it's probably kind of led directly to him continuing to have an interest in it. So
yeah,
I mean, I've played RPG Maker games. We covered Corpse Party on the show.
Exactly.
That was an RPG Maker game that I actually went on to play on stream. There was RFL. That was one that I just played recently. So they can be like very good games, like super good games. And I don't think I realized that until I played games like Corpse Party or RFL. I just thought they were kind of a basic template that didn't afford you much customization.
And those games they benefit from years of iteration of that version of RPG Maker. Like they've been building and iterating on that for a couple of decades now.
Yeah.
So you're definitely going to get more impressive things than you would if you were using like the original RPG Maker on like the PlayStation. Like that was the first time I encountered it was on PlayStation 1, and you're taking up like an entire memory card to like make your jank ass RPG for your friend to play. That's like maybe a castle that you built and a couple of encounters, and like that was as deep as we got. And getting those files like anywhere else, or grabbing games that people created at that time was like impossible. Like,
yeah.
I could not fathom how to get my PlayStation memory card to read on my computer or whatever, and get the files where they needed to be. So it's nice that people can share those their creations a lot easier now, and have better tools in general to create those things. So
yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I think if anybody who has a PlayStation or an Xbox, I think you can download RPG Maker. It's subtitled MV. I don't know what that means. If that's like Roman, I don't know what those
2005. I don't know.
I don't know, but you can download it. I think for free. There's you can play anybody else's creations. I think for free. To kind of see what people have made. I think to actually buy the game or to be able to dive into the customization stuff yourself, it might cost you something, but it's still it's an interesting concept. It gives people the idea to kind of be creative, have access to some tools that aren't like, Unreal or Unity. It's more simplified, more simplistic. Seems like a pretty good way to get your foot in the door, at least with understanding game creation. So
yeah, and it gives you the tools that you need if you want to do like a turn-based RPG or not, or like something similar. It gives you that baseline to play around with. So yeah. Do you have anything on the developers of this, Chris?
I just have a little bit of their history, what they've worked on. It's Pegasus Japan. The games that I just picked out some of the. Actually, this might have been all of the games that they're responsible with.
There's not many.
Yeah, in terms of development, they did a game called Neo Nectaris in 1994, Bogey Dead 6 in 96, simulation RPG Tsukuru was their third game, Contender 2 in 2000, Arkanoid in 2009, and Kix Plus Plus in 2009.
Hell yeah.
Arkanoid and Kix are essentially remakes of like older games. But I did see those are the games that they're credited with developing on. But they still must do something in a secondary as a secondary developer, because they actually offered some additional help as recent as this year, working on Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and specifically this year Dragon Ball Z Kakarot plus New Power Awakens, which I think is the Switch version.
It's the Switch version, yeah.
So yeah, I mean they're still around. They're still helping support other developers, but I don't think they took a lead development role or anything on those.
No, so I've checked out their website. They are a support team now. So their main customers right now are Acquire, Rakujin, CyberConnect 2, who did Kakarot, and then Genbarian, who they helped with one of the One Piece games a few years ago, Unlimited World R. But yeah, they're mostly doing like support stuff, and hey, there's a ton of studios out there doing that. So the more help, the better for a lot of these titles that are getting more and more complicated and need that extra level of expertise or just assistance getting stuff done. So
yeah. I mean, it's a company that has settled in their own little niche. I couldn't even find anybody that was tied to them specifically. So to try to find individual credits was a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I found a video that actually showed some of the customization stuff and then played the credits at the end. So thankfully that's where I got my credits stuff from. And one of the names I pulled from there was Yasuhiro Akasaka, who worked as a programmer on Sim RPG Maker, and went on to work on a bunch of other RPGs as a technical director or in other roles. And those games that they've worked on are little games like Dark Cloud 1 and 2, Jeanne d'Arc for the PlayStation Portable, all of the Professor Layton games. Apparently they've been with Level 5 for years and years. They worked on both Ni no Kuni's, Yokai Watch, Fantasy Life, most Level 5 games. So
nice.
Yeah. So they went on and did other strategy RPG stuff with like Jeanne d'Arc, and kind of branch out to other things as well as a technical director.
We'd love to see it. Love to see
Yeah.
people, especially with the older like retro games. I think that's one of the funnest, the most fun. Sorry, everybody.
Funnest.
The most fun
I'll take
aspects
funnest.
of the show is just seeing what people, where they started. We'll have a good example of that here later on that I was able to find. But yeah, it's great. Going on 30 years with some of these people in the industry where they got their start, what they're doing now. Not everybody makes it that far. Plenty of people like, they released a game in 95 and they didn't release anything since, or they were, worked until 99 and now they do something different. So I'll actually have a kind of a funny little story about that later on. But what we should do instead is maybe take our first break.
Please, let's do it.
Sound good? All right, guys. We'll see you in just a little bit. Welcome back, everybody. How was the break?
Delicious.
Lovely.
What did you eat? Food. You had your camera off. You just said I'm eating something, and you
it was like it was a chicken cordon bleu, like a little frozen, chicken thing.
Nice.
It sounded really fancy until you said it was frozen.
Yeah. It's not that fancy.
Chicken cordon bleu.
Yeah, it's just some breaded chicken.
I had some chicken cordon bleu, and we would have been like, how?
Fancy.
Oh, he fancy.
He fancy.
It's like the ramen of frozen chicken. So.
Well, I rehydrated, and that was it.
It's a short break.
Yeah,
only a couple minutes.
Just a brief one. We didn't need long.
No, just like these next two games.
Amen. Here we go.
What a segue! That was super pro.
John, why don't you just finish it off? Lead us right into our second game.
So our second game is a shareware spaceship arcade game made by two indie developers. I
think that's fair. I think we should call them that.
1994's MS-DOS game, Battle Beyond. Battle Beyond is a single-player space shooter game. Kind of like Star Trek or Stellar Trek, and the way that you play this game is you're given a 4x4 grid of where enemy placements are on the map, and you control a little ship that flies through those different sectors. You control it by using the directional keys on your keyboard. And you shoot with the spacebar, and your goal is to take out the targets on the map. You're given a very mini map up in the top left corner of the screen that shows which quadrant. What's the 16 version of a quadrant?
Work, right?
Sure, the segment of the map that you're in. So it'll show like a dot there. So you kind of have to memorize where all of those targets were, or where specific things are on the map. And your goal is to just take out stuff. You have one hit until you die. You have about 3 or 4 lives to deal with it. And that's about it. That's
John, you mentioned using the D-pad. Did you by chance notice what the up and the down arrow did?
No. Did they turn you around?
No.
I just used left and right, I guess.
So I was having a nightmare of a time doing anything in this game, and I could not figure out. I was like, how did people possibly play this? This is impossible. Well, and then I saw that the up and the down arrows actually affect the speed of the game. I had inadvertently hit the up arrow a couple times, and I was playing on the 5th speed, which is blindingly fast, stupidly quick, can't even react to what's happening. And I hit the down arrow, and I saw a number in the upper right hand tick down. And as it ticked down, the stars slowed down. I was like, wait a minute. Do you really have
no.
game speed tied to the up and down arrow while your main function of turning left and right is right there?
It adjusted your enemy speed too?
Everything slowed down.
Wow.
Yeah, I made it past the first level after I turned it back down to 1.
That's awesome.
Was
That's
very
further
exciting.
than I made it.
But yeah, I noticed that I couldn't. I'm like, there's no way people could do this game. Go back and try it on hit the up arrow until you get to 5.
Yep.
I was like, I don't even want to do this game. I don't even want to talk about it.
No.
So, that's an interesting thing to include, I guess. The functionality to turn the game up super fast from not an options menu.
There were options for I think they called it game difficulty, and it went from 1 to 5, and I'm guessing that's what it was, but I didn't know you could change that on the fly.
Yeah.
So
I would recommend leaving that behind a menu somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I hit it inadvertently after I knew it too, because I'm just panicking trying to turn quick and actually turn it back up to 3. I'm like, oh god, no, slow down, please. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, there's different kinds of spaceships.
Yes,
there's asteroids. There are things that don't shoot at you, and there are things that do shoot at you.
Yeah, there's satellites and star bases.
Yeah.
So there are a variety of things. I would always hit a sector that had 6 spaceships gunning for me. There's always a squadron coming for me at some point. Where I'd take out 5 of them and then crash into the 6th.
So technically you got them all.
I got most of them, yeah.
So, but this was a game that was kind of made off of just a chance that it was made. It was a guy working in his bedroom, basically putting this game together. There's a quote that I found on Moby that was just pulled, and it was I'll just read the quote. It was this game was created by me and Steve. Me and Steve would be me is
Rob Colbert.
Yes, Rob Colbert and Steve
Heinz.
Yes, thank God somebody did their research.
So this was actually on the this was on the information screen in the game. It was scrolling across the bottom, so it showed the main part of the screen would show what different units there were and how many points that you'd get if you destroyed them, and then there was a scrolling thing at the bottom, which is this whole description. So if you want to go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So this game was created by me and Steve. I worked mostly in my bedroom on an IBM PS2 Intel 80386 PC with 2 megabits of RAM and 20 megabits hard drive, or megabytes hard drive. Yes, it clarifies. Yes, megabytes. Using Borland Turbo C++ for DOS as the development environment. I do not remember what we used to create the artwork.
Never mind. Hold on. There's a different quote. I thought
this a different quote?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought we had landed on the same thing. So
well, look up your quote. But
I have it here. So please read.
This one was interesting because he said he went so far as to say some of the explosion sound effects were originally created using my mouth into a pair of headphones plugged into a microphone jack on the Sound Blaster card.
Yep.
This dude was just trying to make this.
He's a Foley artist.
Let's see if there's anything else worth sharing. It's mostly for fun, to expand our knowledge of video game development. Lucinda Group was just intended to be the demo, I thought they were Lucinda Group, but they approached Lucinda Group according to this quote, and gave it to them, and in the end they ended up shipping a game rather than just having this weird thing that they worked on their own. So what is your quote?
Yeah, so this is from that information page, and it says Lucida, a new company entering the world of shareware. Lucida consists of 2 members, Rob Colbert and Steve Heinz.
Well, now I'm very confused.
So right. And then it says Rob is the head programmer of the group. He is currently majoring in computer science at the Community College of Allegheny County in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He hopes to transfer to Carnegie Mellon University's computer science program and earn a 4-year degree in that field. Nice little biography on both of these dudes. And then it says, Steve is just your ordinary, not quite, high school student. He also is a programmer for the group, but writes only in assembly. Can't really say much about him. His life is too boring, smiley face. But he is a pilot wannabe and makes a lot of trips to the Allegheny County Airport. He is 14 years old and is a very good programmer for his age. He hopes to either attend the Air Force Academy, but if that doesn't work, he hopes to become a professional programmer. Battle Beyond is our first production of many. Look for more great stuff from Lucida in the future. And then it has like their contact information.
14?
14!
Oh, man. That's awesome.
So yeah, it was really cool when I was reading that. I'm like, oh, this is like their entire biography. And I've tried to like look up stuff. I think I might have found Rob on Twitter, but I can't confirm it. There's a picture of him on Moby, and his Twitter profile looks close enough, but there's kind of mention of game stuff, but not really.
Okay.
So I didn't want to bug him about a game that I should bug him about a game that he made 20 years ago.
What I did actually
ago?
I must have just seen the end of that quote, because you did say this is our first of many.
Yeah.
And then I went on to find that
this is the only
game that they did.
Yeah.
Now they've this was Steve's only game, period.
Yeah.
But Rob has gone on to do more beyond this.
Yes.
So
yes,
he had a bit of a career in games. But do you have anything else about the game that you want to share before we get into Rob?
Not really.
Okay.
I think you should try contacting him on Twitter.
I should.
Because if that is the guy, he's probably going to be so excited and ecstatic that someone's contacting him about this game that he made so
game?
many. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should totally try it.
Hey, I'm John from Game Informer, but I'm not contacting you in that.
This is not related to Game Informer in any way, shape, or form.
You should contact him.
I'll think about it.
It could be amazing. You could make that guy's like whole day.
Well, we did that for a while in the beginning. We would reach out to like devs and stuff, like, hey, we're gonna feature your game. Is there anything you want to share about the game or anything like that? I would do it before we recorded.
Yeah.
Nobody ever responded.
Oh.
So someday they won't stop knocking on our door. Be like, we would love to be a part of Procedurally Generated.
Can we please talk to you?
How much do I have to pay to manipulate that list of yours to be the next game featured?
We have over 1,100 listens.
That's right. But Rob, as I said, Steve, for everything I can tell on Moby, this was his only venture into games.
He could have gone into the Air Force or is a pilot now. So,
did we confirm that? Because if he didn't,
no, I have no idea.
If that didn't,
that was just part of his profile. So he could have. He's only 14 though, so he's got to be true. What, like, math?
Yep. I'm gonna sit here until you figure it out. You did this to yourself.
Yep. We're just gonna stare you down.
Yep.
He's like 41.
I'm not gonna confirm whether that's true or not, because
let's see. Let's do the math. This game was released in 1994. Correct. He's 14, which means he was born in 1980.
Yep.
Which was
that math does work.
41 years ago. Yeah.
Well done.
He made it easy on me. So thanks, Steve. Thanks, Steve's parents.
Well, whatever Steve's doing, we wish him well. And whatever Rob's doing, wish him well, because he is actually no longer involved with games either. But he did do some stuff after Battle Beyond. Some of the main games that I pulled that he helped out with. He did kind of some various roles, but Ratchet and Clank, Up Your Arsenal, Darkspore, MLB 07, the show, which I thought was funny because the picture on Moby is actually of him at the 2007 MLB, I think, All-Star game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was there for work or for business.
Probably.
It's weird that that's the photo that ended up on Moby. And then he did the Test Drive Off-Road 3. I only called that one out because I think I played a lot of Test Drive Off-Road. So that one had a personal connection to me. But yeah, I don't remember the last year that he was in games. It was late 2000s, I think. MLB 07 was like his second or third to last game. And now we'll leave it up to John to contact him to figure out what he's doing with his life.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's again, just like our first game, there really isn't that much out there beyond that for a game like this. Should we move on to our third and final?
I think so.
Or you were still looking up something?
No.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I was just looking at that dude's Twitter account.
Okay. Typing the message as we speak. So our third game is developed by Maelstrom Games, published by Empire Interactive. I took a stab at what the genre is based on what I could find. It looks like it's a top-down RTS game.
See, yeah, it's like strategy.
Yeah.
Strategy war.
Which, if that doesn't give you guys a hint as to maybe the amount of content we're going to have for this game, I don't know what will. This was released in 1995, and it was released on DOS. This is a game called Red Ghost, which, when we had that name pop up, I'm like, this could be awesome.
Yeah.
This could be like a horror spoopy game. Like, let's get into it. Or, and I did think this, or this could be some sort of military game.
Mm-hmm. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. It's the second. Game. It's the military game. It's a military game that doesn't have a lot of information out there, but I will read a description.
Surprisingly, there's so many pictures of the box of this game, but like nothing of the actual game itself.
So a new enemy has risen from secret bases throughout the world. Armed with the latest in military technology, Red Ghost is aiming at world domination. You will command 18 of the world's most elite group of fighting men to stop this threat. So it says it blends elements of traditional isometric top-down strategy with elements of 3D first-person perspective games. You will use your tactical skills in overhead stages to plan your attack, or when the battle begins, you'll have the ability to commandeer jeeps, tanks, helicopters, and ground artillery units for close combat from the first-person perspective. Okay. I can't confirm nor deny any of that because I couldn't find anything that showed this game. I saw I think the opening like FMV.
Yeah. There's a video that had like 7 minutes, and it was like the opening FMV, and then messing around with like the overworld map.
Yeah,
and like showing like communication towers and how they're connected throughout this island, and it seemed really cool. Like from a tactical, like pulled out like you're scoping out like the technology around this island and like what's available and what's not, but like there was no footage of what you could actually do once you got boots on the ground.
Right. And the good thing about DOS games when they show up on our list is that we typically do have an opportunity to play these games with the software library. It's a very these things are typically accessible, and I found the game and I pushed all the buttons.
Same.
But it didn't
work.
Just
a black screen.
Yeah. I couldn't get it to work. So of all of the times where we really needed software library to come through for us, because we couldn't find any actual gameplay of this thing, the game didn't work. So
which for Battle Beyond, it was almost to that same point, and it worked for us. So
so we had something to talk about.
Yeah, I wonder if it was something with like the CD-ROM nature of it, because it was an early CD-ROM game. It was they were using it to do those cool cutscenes at the beginning of the helicopters, like shooting at stuff and flying through flaming clouds. It was very Desert Storm looking.
Yes.
It's very early 90s imagery.
So this game could be fine.
Yeah.
We really couldn't tell you.
I mean, if anyone out there knows about Red Ghost, has played Red Ghost, please let us know about it. Is it good? Is it bad? Like the only images I've seen of like the first person stuff or the actual like non-strategic map is on the back of the box, and it's all the images are super blurry of it.
Yeah.
It almost looks like, remember when you go into like the first person sections of Jurassic Park, how it was most of the screen was like just like a static image, and then there would be like a little window in the middle where you'd see all the first person stuff. That's what this was like, at least from the images that I saw.
I was actually gonna. I have. I did have 2 screenshots, but there. Yeah, one is a screenshot of the island.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. It looks like a backwards C.
It also didn't help that the footage that we were watching, when it did go to like the menus and that map, was all in French, I think, or German. It's not in English. So
yeah, it could have been. The version that I saw was so artifacted too that I could barely tell what I was looking at. Which is sometimes fun. Sometimes it's fun to go back and watch like old video game commercials that are like artifacted and looking rough. But in this case, it was not that fun to look at. So you know what? Let's go ahead and say that this is a choose your own adventure game where you can choose what it looks like and just tell yourself you're right. But I do have some information about one of the developers specifically. Mm-hmm. John, I'm assuming you don't have much else to share on the game.
Not on the game itself, no. It's baby.
I had okay. So I started looking into this developer, and then I got to a point where the story got sideways, and I could no longer confirm that I was looking at the proper developer anymore.
Is it Maelstrom?
It's Maelstrom. Maelstrom Games, to be specific. Yeah. Now, I don't know if they at one point, John, maybe you looked into this, maybe you can confirm this. Did they move into like making figurines, like miniatures?
No idea.
You didn't? Okay. There's
I kind of like skimmed over some of the stuff, like Maelstrom hit financial trouble. But like the last game that Moby has them involved with is Ring Cycle in 1996. Mm-hmm. And all of these articles that I was seeing were in like 2009, 2013 or something.
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know if it's a Maelstrom Games, but I'll share what there is. I don't know if I can't confirm that it's the actual connection between this studio and maybe what this studio went on to be, because in 2012, the Maelstrom Games that I found was working more with miniatures and figurines, like specifically for like Battlefront and stuff. But in 2012, they were basically forced to liquidate everything because they had massive debt that they weren't actively trying to pay off. Mm-hmm. So like all of their customers' orders were just canceled without any way of getting them their products, and it didn't seem like any refund availability was there. It ended like really poorly for them, and I don't know if this company transitioned at some point from making games to getting into the figurine business or whatever. So I don't know. I wasn't even gonna really talk about it because I couldn't confirm that. But
yeah.
I don't know what happened.
This whole game is just veiled in secrecy.
It is. It's an enigma
and obscurity.
So, but I did focus on somebody who worked on the game. One Mr. Chris Rowley, and I have it's not a funny story, but it's like oh god, I should now follow up with Chris Rowley type situation. But anyway, Chris Rowley worked on this game as kind of additional support, kind of doing some Q&A stuff. And this is the 6th game that he had been credited on in Moby, so very early on in his career and stuff like that. But so doing QA, what I've come to find, and this is not always the case, but what I've come to find is QA typically, that's play testing, that kind of stuff. Usually a starter role within video games. It's the kind of thing that gets you in the door at a studio, and and then you can continue to move up or move out entirely of what that is. This dude grabbed the QA role and ran with it like hard. In 1997, he became the QA manager for Codemasters, which has been one of my favorite studios for a while because of they have a really good pedigree for making really good racing games. He continued in game testing and management roles with SCEE, Eidos, 2K Games, and Electronic Arts, where he eventually became the European QA director in 2008. In 2011, he was promoted to the role of senior European QA manager of Electronic Arts, which manager seems like a downgrade from director, but it says it's promotion, so I'm gonna believe it. And then he looks like he left EA, and I thought initially that he just left video games entirely. But what he's doing now, he's the operations director with a company called Keywords Studios, which that company appears to be kind of like what we talked about earlier, what Pegasus is now. But I think a more full functioning, full featured company where they will support developers that need help with certain aspects of whether it's audio or art or things like that. So this company exists solely to support other established developers with their projects, even down to management and stuff like that. And I found that because I looked him up on LinkedIn and looked at his profile, and then later in the day I had an alert saying that he looked at my profile, and I'm like, well, that must have been. I was like, that must have been very disappointing for you.
That's always the risk of looking at profiles on LinkedIn without like premium or whatever.
Yeah, I should have. Maybe I'll like reach out and be like, "Hey, I was just talking about you on a podcast."
Just doing research. If you want to talk sometime about what you do.
Yeah. I got the alert and I was like, "Oh, I should. Is this good? Should I follow up on this, or should I be embarrassed that my LinkedIn's not very well updated?" That was the first thing I thought of too. I don't think I have procedurally generated on my LinkedIn yet. I haven't done anything.
Do you have your streaming stuff on there?
The streaming stuff is on there, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, C. Rowley, 1964. I don't know what year he was born. Will pop into my chat now.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh hey,
hey buddy.
But yeah, it's again, it goes back to what we said earlier. The idea of people getting their start in the business with some of these older games that nobody's ever heard of. But then he went on to work with Electronic Arts. And not just work with them, but take high-level director tier roles within that company, and has then moved on to get. He's still involved in video games, in some regard, not maybe within actual development studio, but a studio that or something that is reliant on kicking these games out. So, really cool. Love to see it. So
yeah. I had a tiny bit about the publisher for this, which was Empire Interactive, who didn't have a ton of games that they published, but one of them was Jagged Alliance, which we talked a little bit about a couple of weeks ago from that old THQ Nordic event. But they didn't publish the original Jagged Alliance. They published it on Nintendo DS. The version that I think that's the last ported version of that game, which is weird. But Empire Interactive has been around since like 1992, or had been around since 1992. They were purchased by a company that we've covered on this show a few times, which is Rebellion.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, wait, hold on. Let me get this straight here.
Do you need to do what I did last week and just read the Wikipedia article?
yeah. Because there were other points in here where they were like owned by other people. Let's see here. They were purchased by a holdings company called Silver Star Holdings. Their shares were sold to a place called Razorworks. Or no, they were being intended to sell to Razorworks. Razorworks was sold and absorbed by Rebellion. So I guess they weren't part of Rebellion. They ended up dissolving in 2009, and their assets were purchased by a publisher called Zoo Publishing, which I think we might have covered
Zoo
at some
Publishing?
point as well. Yeah, and Zoo Publishing within that year became a company called IndiePub. Oh no, sorry, within 3 years. So May 2012, they became a company called Zoo. Oh shoot!
Like ZOO.
Wow, yeah, ZOO.
I don't see him.
Let's see here. May 2009, it was announced Zoo Publishing that the company had acquired the rights from New World IP, which is not the same New World that we were talking about earlier.
Like, this is going places.
To publish and distribute Empire Interactive's entire catalog, which includes titles such as Big Mother Truckers and Flat Out Head On. So they ended up doing some other stuff that wasn't listed. Let's see here. The rights were acquired from New World IP, who had recently purchased Empire's intellectual property. In June 2009, Zoo Games created a wholly owned subsidiary, Zoo Entertainment, which was then discontinued in 2009. It's a whole mess. I think either it turned into IndiePub or IndiePub purchased them, and then in 2012, Zoo Entertainment officially became IndiePub Entertainment, and then IndiePub closed in 2013, a year later.
Do you guys think someday
who knows who owns these IP now? But
do you guys think someday we'll go back and read the Wikipedia entry for Procedurally Generated, and that's the kind of paragraph we'll have to read?
John went into a diatribe about IndiePub and Zoo Entertainment to try to piece together who owns the stuff from Empire. Yeah, it was Empire. Anyways,
I just mean the structure of Procedurally Generated in a couple of years, where it'll be a subsidiary of this, which exists, in
yeah,
this
we're going to be purchased
capacity
by Reichert's Market, a subsidiary of Fire Escape.
There we go. Oh man, I'm looking
and then we're
forward
going to be spun off into our own separate entities.
If one day this podcast just becomes an indecipherable Wikipedia article, I'll chalk that up as a success.
It already is. Whenever I talk, it's an indecipherable Wikipedia article.
Oh man, those are our 3 games.
Let's rank them.
Yeah, I thought last week was tough.
So I did something with my rankings. I have a total of 18 minutes that I'm willing to spend on all 3 of these games combined. And I have that broken down, like my rankings on the number of minutes per game I would be willing to spend on these things.
I love it.
Okay, so you've been given the option of 3 games. You only have 18 minutes to spend. How do you spend them?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Why the 18-minute figure?
I don't know, because I started and assigned one with 5 minutes and kind of went from there.
And
it totals 18.
Great.
And I'm not going back.
I love it. It's very organic.
Right?
Let's hear it then. Let's hear your breakdown.
Am I doing all 3 of mine?
Yeah.
Do you want to present it as should we present it as our 2-1-3 list, and you can assign those minutes then?
I can do that.
Well, okay, let's do this then. We'll have you lead us off. What is your middle minute game?
I'm going to spend 6 minutes on Simulation RPG.
Simulation RPG,
sure.
You're spending 6 minutes. Okay.
Now, 6 minutes, and I'm sure those 6 minutes are going to be trying to decipher what Japanese setting that I'm currently adjusting.
Yes. I have a feeling like all of you math and like coding and programming nerds could take that information and figure out what her number 1 is. I don't know if that's possible.
5. So she had 5 for 1. That puts her at 11 minutes.
Yeah.
And that means that there's 7 for another one. So we got 5, 6, and 7 minutes. She's at least given 5 minutes of her time to each of these, which is actually pretty generous, I think.
We'll see.
All right. So Simulation RPG Tsukuru is your number 2.
Yes.
All right.
With 6 minutes. Great. That's it.
With 6 minutes. Got it. We're not surpassing 6 minutes. You're not going to get a lot built in 6 minutes.
No.
especially with Japanese menus.
That's where my limit's coming in.
Yeah.
I'm not spending more than 6 minutes even trying.
There is, I believe, an English version for PC that's been localized. So
well, this changes everything.
6.5 minutes.
6.5 minutes.
Well, something's gonna have to lose some time then. You only have 18.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
So I'll go second.
Yeah.
My number 2, which, oh God, this might be the hardest week I've had to decide which one deserves to not be number 3 more. I'm going to have to say that my number 2 is also going to be Simulation RPG Tsukuru.
High five.
High five indeed. Slap hands. And I think it's because, I mean, okay, we actually covered it kind of with Courtney's. It's in Japanese. This specific game did not make it to the US.
Got
it. So it's in Japanese. I am not one who necessarily wants to be creative with my games. I don't want to create something. I want to play what other people have created. I want to enjoy other people's creations. So to put the onus on me to make my own game, I don't want to do that. And it's also, from what I could see on the video, it seems like a very clunky way to do. It's not its fault. It's a RPG Maker on the PlayStation. You are limited to what your tool set can be.
Or the Sega Saturn.
Or the Sega Saturn, true.
Yeesh. I'm kidding. It's been a while since I played a Saturn.
Yeah, me too. I owned one. I don't know.
I did too. I didn't have
gone.
a memory card for it though.
Yeah, I didn't.
Which is
have
awful.
Much of anything for it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, Knights.
So that's my number 2.
Sure. My number 2, shocking to everyone listening, I'm sure, is Simulation RPG Tsukuru.
Whoa!
We're all lined up.
Yeah, so I like the idea of messing around with these different parameters and seeing what you can make. I'm not going to build a whole game though.
Yeah.
But I do like messing around with what are the characters? Like, what's the default stuff in here? What kind of moves can I give them? What do battles look like? What's the potential here? At least for my primitive brain. Like, what's the what kind of shenanigans can I get up to in like a 20-minute session of messing around with this? And I think that's why it's my number 2. I don't know.
Perfect.
Courtney, what are you giving your 7 minutes to, or 6.5?
My 7 minutes. Well, maybe we have to make some cuts.
Sure.
My 7 minutes is going to Battle Beyond. The only reason it's going there is because there was a 14-year-old who made that game.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's fair.
That's pretty cool.
That's a good point.
That's awesome.
I thought your only reason was going to be a different reason, which is probably the reason that I'm going to give.
Ooh.
So
it is a functional game by a 14-year-old and someone in community college.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
neighborhood people, or like learned through programming or at the shareware section of their local computer store. Anyways, maybe one day I'll find out if I message.
There you go. We can find the answers. So my number 1 is Battle Beyond. And the reason that it's Battle Beyond, which I thought you were going to say, is because we couldn't find anything about Red Ghost. I can't put that game anywhere other than number 3 because I don't know anything about it. So I don't have any interest trying to figure out a simulation RPG that's in Japanese. And I would like to think that Battle Beyond most any week probably is a solid number 3 for me. Just kind of shows off the week that this is. So, John, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is Red Ghost.
You
What?
psychopath.
It's mainly all right. So it is an actual game with some depth to it that I don't know what that depth is yet. So I would like to play the game and figure out what the other parts of this
How many minutes would you devote to that?
Like 10, 15. I don't know. But I am curious to see what that game is beyond the strategy map. I want to know what you're doing on that map. And I want to see what this early CD-ROM game looks like for like going down to the battlefield itself. It's more what I don't know right now that makes me want to play it than what I do know.
It sparks some curiosity for you.
Yeah, it's the mystery that's intriguing to you. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Exactly. Which then I guess I'll just go into my number 3 then. We'll snake this one around. The reason why I'm choosing Battle Beyond for my number 3 is I played some of it. I gave a good 5 minutes to it. If we're using the minute structure here, I think it's cool for a small little shooter. I don't really see myself playing too much of it though. But it is functional, and it is functional through a web browser, which is good and neat for our purposes.
My maximum time with that is probably also 5 minutes, and it's my number 1 game of the week. So again, let's hope
you're not even gonna make it to 18 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm not. It's 5 minutes for that game. That's it. I've 5 minutes. I did it. That's as far as we're going at it, because I'm probably not going to play Simulation RPG Tsukuru, and well, no, I guess I would be if I had Red Ghost in front of me. I would try it. So at least a minute.
We know it exists. We've seen many pictures of boxes.
Yes,
for this game.
The boxes, it's very orange and white,
which might be the cover art for this, because everything else is pretty. So, well, I might be able to get one for Simulation RPG.
There's a pretty good picture of. I shared it in the Discord. Check the Discord. There's a couple pretty good, like a magazine ad that looks all right.
Yeah, this week's not great for
cover art. Is just make sure that this is an episode 25 part 3.
Shh. No one
We're not going to talk about that.
See what happened was. All right. Well, there we go, guys. Those are the rankings for this week's show. I'm gonna let you all in on something that the co-hosts don't even know right now. But I already know what next week's games are.
Oh no! You
How dare
it.
you?
Well, last week I tried to do it with you, and somebody, I don't know who, kept messing with the order. Every time I would hit sort, it would get all goofed up. So I was like, well, I'm going to do this without them, and I will surprise them later. So the new games have already been chosen, but I'm not going to tell you what they are.
Let me just look at them real quick.
Yep, you guys can look.
I just want to say, for the record, John was waving his hand and smiling. It's me. I was the one screwing with you.
John fessed up. I will say that next week's games, from what I can tell, I'm very excited.
We're going to have good art for this.
We are going to have good art for this.
Gosh.
If you guys enjoyed the show, if you guys have enjoyed the show in the past, please consider chiming in and being a part of it. Join us on the Discord. It'll be linked below in the show notes. Write us an email, pgshowinbox@gmail.com. Send us a tweet on the Twitter, PG_show. Check us out, follow, like our videos on TikTok. And on Twitch, we didn't mention this before, but we're all semi-active to very active on Twitch. I am CW719 on Twitch. John, you are.
I'm John Carson Games on Twitch, and I am planning on streaming. Maybe this week. Maybe I've streamed already.
Did you stream Friday or Saturday? Because
no, I was going to stream New World.
People down.
Yeah, I let Timmy down. Which is more people than I'm usually letting down at one time. So
letting Timmy down is like letting an entire community down.
It is, and he'll let you know it.
I'm going to hear about it on Monday.
Yeah, I was going to stream New World, but queues for that were insane, and we had war stuff going on, and I was more interested in watching the war play out that I wasn't able to participate in because I was too low a level. So I was watching a stream of that. But maybe this week we have more New World. We have Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, which comes out on Tuesday. And Metroid is on Friday. So there's plenty to go around for games. So maybe one of those will be streamed by this guy.
Go. Awesome. So John Carson Games.
Yes.
And Courtney.
I am Mecha Sprite, and I believe we also have some Patreons to thank.
We do. Yes, we blew it last week. We blew it. So what I've done is I've color coordinated my entire Evernote so that these titles jump out at me better, because I had everything as orange, and
I think we rushed you a little bit. The episode was running long.
Yeah. So apologies to our patrons. We did not say the thank yous last week, but
we do thank you.
We do thank you, yes. And if you'd like to be thanked at the end of the show as a patron, please head over to patreon.com/procedurally generated. I'm sure that'll also be linked down below. And consider signing up, being one of the supporters of the channel. We'll go ahead and give our thank yous here. A big thank you to Mecha Sprite.
Hi.
Our platinum supporter and co-host. Thank you. Xchin, our gold supporter. Cassidy, Catherine Weber, my wife, and Tim G are all our silver supporters. These are not sorted. Hold on. Time out. Coda and Xchin. There we go. Our gold supporters. Cassidy, Catherine, and Tim are silver supporters. I don't know why I'm calling her Catherine. I know very well that she goes by Kate. And then our bronze...
You have the legal right to call her Catherine.
I suppose, yes. And then our bronze supporters, Aussie Gamer, Brandon Johnson, Jason Daphnis, John Carson, and John Jensen.
What up?
Thank you guys, every last one of you, for the support. It's a new month. I think we're back to actually charging folks for content again. Sorry about it. But we do appreciate it so much. It does help us. We have to upgrade some stuff at some point. This money is going to be going toward that. When we start hitting our goals, we'll be putting it toward that to make new, fun, exciting things happen. So thank you. My last call to action is, if you enjoyed the show, please head over to wherever you're listening to it and leave us a positive review. It means the world to us, helps us find some new listeners, helps this thing keep growing. So
also, if you're in any good gaming discords, feel free to share our episodes if you like them in whatever podcast sharing channel they may or may not have.
Yes, that's a good point.
Wherever you feel is appropriate, and if people are looking for good video game podcasts, if you agree that ours is a good video game podcast, please suggest it to people.
Yeah.
Word of mouth goes a very long way.
Yeah, and in many ways, it's probably the most effective way for this thing to grow.
Yes.
So we can run ads and we can do all that kind of stuff, but it's you guys getting out there talking about the show. That would probably do the most for us. So.
Mm-hmm.
Reviews and all that stuff aside, that stuff helps especially. So you guys have a fantastic week. We are going to record a week from now and not 4 days from now.
Hopefully.
So we'll
see how the week goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but we'll have all kinds of fun stuff to talk about next week. Have a great day, week, month,
or even your year.
Yeah,
we'll be here for you.
Oh gosh.
True.
Bye.
Why?